As we come to the exciting conclusion of our 40 days of fasting and prayer for revival, I want to walk with you through an interesting 2-verse observation found in 1 Chronicles chapter 4, verses 9 and 10. 1 Chronicles chapter 4, verses 9 and 10. Open with your Bible and follow with me. 1 Chronicles 4, verses 9 and 10. Verse 9, and Jabez was more honorable than his brothers, and his mother called his name Jabez, saying, because I bore him with sorrow. And Jabez called upon the God of Israel. This is later on in his life. Jabez called upon the God of Israel, saying, oh, that you would bless me indeed and enlarge my coast, and that your hand might be with me, and that you would keep me from evil, that it may not grieve me. And God granted him that which he had requested. Now, Jabez started out his life with a bad name, literally. The principle that we're referring to here is that name denotes character. Now, this comes from Adam, the original man, because Adam had the task of naming the animals, and he named them based on some characteristics. So, name denotes character. And Jabez grew up with a name that shamed him no matter what he did. So he would have a hard time achieving anything, including having friends and opportunities, because of what his name represented. But God always has the last word. Look at verse 9. Verse 9. Jabez was more honorable than his brothers, in spite of his name and what his name. Somehow, Jabez's character was very different from what his name said about him. And in the middle of all of this anxiety, opposition, and frustration, Jabez had a relationship with the Lord that God would later honor. Not only did Jabez know about God, he had confidence that God would hear his prayers and that God would answer them. And we can know this because Jabez had asked for the Lord to do things that would benefit others as well as himself, and he approached the Lord with boldness, not hesitating or doubting. The phrase enlarge my coast meant to enlarge his sphere of influence. That in and of itself was a huge request. Remember that his name meant that his mother had birthed him in sorrow. What was that sorrow? Was it childbirth? Was it her inability to care for him? Or was there something more ominous that we can only imagine that caused her to not only give her child a name that would shame him, but would remind her of a tragic event? We don't know. But Jabez was an overcomer. Jabez had a vision for his life. And whatever that vision was, it had not yet been fulfilled, and Jabez was seeking God's help in achieving his destiny. And we know that if we seek the Lord with our entire being, that not only will he be found, but that he will give us the desires of our heart. And this means more than not only the fulfillment of our heart's desires, but that God will place the dreams, the desires, and the ideas that He has created for us inside of our hearts. And then He will fulfill those dreams, desires, and ideas that He created us to achieve. Now listen to the second part of Jabez's request. That you will keep me from evil, and that these things would not grieve me. This request was that Jabez would have things, but that the things would not have him. Let me say that again. His request was that he would have things, but things would not have him. This included his heart, his time, his talents, and his treasuries. Jabez knew God, and God knew Jabez. Look at what others had said to the Lord. In 1 Chronicles 29, verses 11 through 12. 1 Chronicles chapter 29, verses 11 and 12. Thine, O Lord, is the greatness and the power and the glory and the victory and the majesty. For all that is in heaven and on the earth is thine. Thine is the kingdom, O Lord, and thou art exalted as head above all. Both riches and honor come of thee, and thou reignest over all. And in thine hand is power and might. And in thy hand it is to make great and to give strength to all. 1 Chronicles 29, 11 and 12. Proverbs chapter 10, verse 22. Proverbs 10, 22. The blessing of the Lord, it makes rich, and He adds no sorrow to it. The blessing of the Lord, it makes rich. He adds no sorrow. In 1 Kings chapter 3, we read 1 Kings chapter 3, verses 7 through 14. Solomon prayed to the Lord, and he said, I am but a little child. I know not how to go out or how to come in. And thy servant is in the midst of thy people, which thou hast chosen, a great people that cannot be numbered nor counted for multitude. Verse 9, give therefore thy servant an understanding heart to judge thy people, that I may discern between good and bad. For who is able to judge this thy so great a people? And this speech, this request, this prayer, this petition pleased the Lord, that Solomon had asked this thing. And God said unto him, because thou hast asked this thing, and hast not asked for thyself a long life, neither hast asked riches for thyself, nor hast asked the life of thine enemies, but hast asked for thyself understanding to discern judgment. Behold, I have done according to thy words. Lo, I have given thee a wise and an understanding heart, so that there was none like thee before thee, neither after thee shall any arise like unto thee. Verse 13, and I have also given thee that which thou hast not asked, both riches and honor, so that there shall not be among the kings any like unto thee all thy days. And if thou wilt walk in my ways to keep my statutes and my commandments, as thy father David did walk, then I will lengthen your days. In 1 Kings chapter 4, 1 Kings chapter 4, verses 29 and 30. And God gave Solomon wisdom and understanding exceeding much, and largeness of heart, even as the sand that is on the seashore. And Solomon's wisdom excelled the wisdom of all the children of the east country and all the wisdom of Egypt. Jabez was able to approach the Lord with such bold requests because of his humbled heart. And a humble heart is a part of obedience that comes from fasting and praying. And it pleased the Lord to bless Jabez and to honor his requests, just as for King David and for King Solomon. So if you've been following with us, and if you've joined your faith with ours throughout this revival campaign, you are in a position of favor to ask the Lord whatsoever you want. No matter if you fasted 1 day, 3 days, 14 days, 21 days, or even 40 days. 1 John 5, verses 14 and 15 reminds us, and this is the confidence that we have in him, that if we ask anything according to his will, he hears us. And if we know that he hears us, whatsoever we ask, we know that we have the petitions that we desire of him. Thank you for joining with us. Thank you for praying with us and for praying for us. Thank you to those who have supported us financially as well. The blessings of the Lord belong to those who seek him and ask. This is Pastor Steve. Our church is La Viña de Gracia in La Calera, Colombia, a little ways outside of the capital city of Bogota. So until next time, may the Lord richly bless you, prosper you, and keep you safe as you follow hard after him. Be sure to send us your testimonies of what the Lord has done for you and those around you as we complete this 40-day time of fasting and praying and seeking the Lord in all things. And we'll see you next time. God bless.